want to sit on a block or a cushion now, just to lift your hips a little higher than your knees. That's a really nice place to start. So if you've got flat block, you can just sit on that, or a book with a cushion just for a bit of padding, or your bolster. You can sit on your bolster. And we'll just come to Sukhasana, or easy pose. And if this isn't happy for your knees, shove some stuff under your knees, whether that's cushions or books, bolsters, anything, just even under the hips, just so that you can feel relaxed here and that there's no pain in your knees or your hips. If the knees comfortably come down, of course, then just be as you are. And we'll just let the hands rest, palms down on the knees. Great. And Lucy in here, I can't see you, but I'm assuming you're fine. And you don't have to put your video on. Give the shoulders a roll back and down. And then just for a moment, close your eyes. If it makes you feel a bit anxious to close your eyes, or you just want to feel more present, just take a soft gaze ahead of you. Sorry, just before you do that, am I big on all of your screens, or have you gone back to gallery view? Big? Great. And just come back to that quiet place then. Sorry about that. And either with the eyes closed or the gaze just softly focused ahead of you, just start to almost rock back and forward on your seat, just a tiny little bit, and then you can make the motion a little bigger, and then you can start to make the motion a little smaller again, and just find the place where you feel that the sit bones are evenly planted. The thigh bones can just fall out of the hips. And from that centered seat, you're able just to lift the heart center above your seat, and then the crown of the head above your heart. And just feel the neutral curves of your spine, self-supporting spine. And then just start to feel aware of the breath moving in and out through your nose. And perhaps noticing a slight coolness on the inhale, and a slight warmth on the exhale. And just bringing your focus to that balance of the inhale and the exhale being even. And just as we sit quietly here, when we started chatting just now, we were thinking about changes and things that have affected us recently. We've all got lots going on. And we can describe those as stressors, but they can be negative or positive. So a positive stressor can be something that causes us get up and go, like motivation to cook something nice, or get out for a walk, or paint something, or make something new, music, writing, tidying up. And then sometimes the negative things that happen to us create the same kind of buzz, but in a way that doesn't feel so good. And both can exist at once. And when we're experiencing things that cause us distress, we might notice our heart rate increase, our breath increase, muscle tension increase, and that buzz becoming unpleasant. And we can just start to observe that and use practices such as breathing, sitting, noticing, just to help us regulate that. And sometimes we need a little bit more, and that's where restorative yoga can help us. So we cultivate that deeper relaxation response. And the postures we'll take this evening will really just encourage that state of deep rest where we're very much aware and present and alert. But it's very much the opposite of that buzzy fight-flight response. And it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. switches off the stress responses, heals those raised cortisol stress levels in the body. And it's because of that, the body can then focus on the things that actually keep us well, digesting our food well, storing our energy well, getting rid of waste from the body well, and just repairing our cells. And the nervous system in this way is also enables us to communicate more directly with our inner world, if you like, our spirit, the stuff that we can't really quantify. And when we're agitated and the nervous system is in that heightened, buzzy, unpleasant state, it's really hard for us to receive signals, for want of a better way of putting it, properly. We get muddled, we start to think all thoughts are useful. And then by practicing this just softer, kinder practice that we're going to take this evening, we can just protect ourselves a little bit again and reset and come back to balance. And the simplest way we're going to start with that is a little breath meditation. So coming back to that quieter awareness of your breath, and this can feel quite difficult sometimes to focus here, so don't worry if your mind wanders. Sitting quietly and bringing the awareness back within. Closing your eyes if you can, or softening the gaze, and relaxing the space between your eyebrows. Keeping that self-supporting spine. Take a long breath in, beginning slowly, so try not to gasp. Feel the rib cage, broaden the collarbones, and then notice a slight pause at the top of your breath. And then let it go, long and easy. And again, feeling aware of the little bit of peace in the pause at the bottom of your breath. And then take another breath in, listening to the sound, feeling the movement of the torso, the shoulders, pausing, and then exhaling, releasing, feeling the abdominals softly drawing in. And then noticing that rise and expansion with every inhalation, and the fall with each exhalation. And just allow yourself a few rounds of breath here to find a reassuring rhythm. In our silence, we can become aware of still deeper rhythms, a heartbeat, perhaps a almost subtle pulse of fluid in the spine. You might have to imagine that one. And the circulation of the blood. Patterns of neural connections, just that awareness that you're aware. And the little fizz of breath in each and every one of the cells in your body. And we have colours in our thoughts, an ongoing song in the heart. Maybe before your eyes as they're closed you see colours. All of these rhythms and melodies fall together in a beautiful symphony, and a symphony that is uniquely yours. Pause, listen, remember. Your symphony is a part of the music of the universe. It's fully, intensely and wonderfully alive. It breathes. as you inhale, the universe is exhaling into you this vivid aliveness, this music. And as you exhale, you accept it. So if you did want to have some music or sound on as we move into the physical postures, you can pop that on now. And we'll come back to silence at the end. So, maybe give your legs a little stretch out as well, and give your feet a little roll, a few times one way, a few times the other. Maybe massage out your knees a little bit if they feel a little bit achy from sitting. And you can even lean back and just bring the soles of the feet really wide and just have a little sway out through the hips there. Yeah. Good. So we're going to come straight into a nice heart-opening posture. So for much of the day we find ourselves like this. So we're going to encourage that expansion and more space to breathe with Supta Baddha Konasana. So lots of cushions, or your bolster, and some books, blocks, blankets rolled, so that you can make a bit of a ski slope. So various ways you can do this. You can have one brick propped on another brick. If you want it more upright, you might not want it so upright, and you might want one then under your head. But basically just something so that you can elevate your heart above your hips and get that chest opening. So just take a bit of a moment to find a bit of a ski slope, and if you've got the bolster, your bottom is just going to be against it, so the sit bones are on the floor, and that applies to any pile of stuff you've got there. And you're just going to lean back. So you just want to make sure that you feel the props are right in the centre of your spine and that your lower back is comfortable. And then if you feel strain in your neck, again, any rolled up cushion, blanket or a little block here, you can just prop under your head. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet into a butterfly shape. So that can be quite far away, can be quite close to you. And again, if that puts any pressure in your hip joints, either feeling that they're really tight or feeling, if you're very hypermobile, actually then it can be not so pleasant a feeling in the joint as the bones press uncomfortably. So again, you could prop just under your thighs here or under the knees, and then you can just let the arms fall to the side. Great. So just taking a bit of time to feel really settled there. And if you get into a shape and you don't feel quite right, come out of it. So for each of these postures, we're going to stay for a good 5 minutes. So the idea is to make sure you feel really nicely supported and to try and completely let go once you're in the shape. And if you find part way that there's any uncomfortable fizzing or nerve pain, of course, please move. You can always extend the legs out straight or just plant the soles of the feet on the mat so that your legs are propped in almost like a bridge prep shape there. I'll mind the time, and just before it's time to come out of the posture, I'll start to just remind you that we're going to move so that you transition out of everything really gradually, so that we keep everything in that parasympathetic mode. Keep the heart rate nice and level and easy. Good. So again here you can start to really bring your awareness back to the essence of that breath meditation, focusing on expansion with the inhale. And a little pause at the top of your breath. And that little drawing in on the exhale. And sometimes this open position can make us feel a little vulnerable or lost in space. It's also a heart opener, so thinking about the energetics of the body. Sometimes we're feeling quite protective of the heart in an emotional sense. So just being very soft with yourself there. And feeling that your breath brings balance, centre, and a feeling of peace to the heart centre here. Difficult to remember the breath, you might bring one hand to heart, one hand to belly for a few rounds and allow that contact and slight movement in the hands as the breath fills through the abdominals and into the chest. Very grounding and comforting. Also very normal for our attention to resist the stillness or the focus. Not always, but sometimes it can take a while to settle in and to leave the day behind. Perhaps if you're feeling aware of others in the house. And just knowing that's okay, both can exist at once. The stillness and the movement. And you just observe that quiet centre and the quiet movement of your breath. Without reacting. Start to feel aware of the feet, the fingertips. Take 3 full breaths where you're preparing yourself to move out of the shape. So again, no rush. And then on your next exhale, draw the knees back towards one another as you tone the lower belly just a little bit. And then use an inhale to press into the arms and just very gently lift yourself away from your bolster. Take a bit of time to come up. And then again, you might feel that you want to give the feet a little roll. Maybe even take a little roll side to side. Okay. So we'll move into a supported pigeon now. So don't worry if pigeon is a pose that you normally struggle with. As ever, there's ways to make it comfortable. I'm going to use bolster or again a stack of cushions. So you can leave those cushions where they are and just remove the slope from the shape. And keep your blocks and books to go into your hips. So keep these all handy. We'll come from an all fours shape into this. So if you have your cushions so you can support your body weight, and you're going to tuck your right leg acute angle towards the end of your cushion there. And you probably haven't got fairy lights between your toes, like I have. Try and move those out of the way. I'm going to snuggle the left leg back and then adjust yourself forwards to meet your bolster. So if your hips are feeling very tight here, you're going to get your blocks, prop them under the front leg, and it's usually the other hip actually where you'll need to put it right under your bottom. It might be on a higher setting or some cushion shoved under there. And then we're going to lay over the bolster. You can cuddle it or your cushions and turn your head to one side. So if you want a slightly deeper hip opener, you probably wouldn't have the blocks, and you might have a lesser angle at your knee, so your shin comes, a bigger angle at your knee, so that your shin comes further away from you, and then you can move into it. But for most of us, probably that acute angle at the knee and a few props around the hips. And we want to focus on the hip bones being really nice and level there. So you're not rolling off onto the right hip. And we're trying to lengthen the sides of the waist evenly forwards over your cushion. If it's not comfortable, don't worry. You can do the reclined figure 4. And then after that, you'll come back to sitting with something under your knees and a little child's pose or something over your bolster. So for those of you with tricky hips and knees, if this isn't feeling so good, come to the reclined figure 4 shape here. And again, you can keep this pretty gentle, or you can do it against the wall. And I would just stay there for 15 breaths and then change sides and come to child's pose. And when you do take the child's pose, so for Irene with your joints that aren't going to be happy about that, when you come to child's pose, a nice wide-legged one with the bolster, so you get that bit of hip opening and something behind the knees. Okay? Yeah? Great. Good. So take time to feel supported there. And if you find yourself in the prone version, lying down, and it's not happening for you, come to the wall as I suggested and take that figure 4 stretch. I think you're all okay. So this feels a little more active because we have to, think a little bit about the joints here, looking after the knees and the hips. But again, just coming back to that soft awareness of your breath here. So if the hips are feeling tight, just really using the exhale to soften there. And this is a place where we can notice the difference in each side of the body. So maybe one side is holding on to a little more tension. Maybe one knee or hip or ankle gives us a little bit more complaint than the other side. And again, just noticing that when you've come to the other side. So we'll just stay in on this first side for another 5 long breaths. If you've just come to one of those reclined versions in a figure 4 shape, you can stay for a bit longer. And when the others have fully transitioned to the left, you can swap. The setup takes a bit longer for them anyway. And just for these last couple of breaths, as you exhale, consciously draw in and up with the pelvic floor. And then release it as you inhale. So on the exhale, really feeling that drawing in and up as if you were stopping going to the loo, and then a little tone in the low belly. Good. So if you are laying in the version here over the bolster, just start to, on your next exhale, engage the pelvic floor, squeeze into the glutes a little bit and the low belly, and then press your hands back up away from the bolster. Just take your time. Take a big breath in when you come through the middle, good. And as you come out of this, come back to all fours and then give that right leg a good stretch out. So press the heel away and really squeeze up on the kneecap. So you're pressing on the ball of the right foot and then the heel's really drawing away as you squeeze up on the kneecap, just to decompress there. I mean, if you want to take downward facing dog, you could, but as it's restorative, we'll just do this. Great, and then we'll change sides. So setting up with the left leg and taking time, really pulling the right leg back and away, popping a block under your hips if you need them. Give you that bit of height. And then actually once you've got the height, you might feel that you want the shin more parallel to enable that bit of hip opening. And then you're hugging your bolster and turn your head the other way. I mean, obviously the forearms can go on the floor either side of the bolster as well, so that you minimise any effort or strain in the upper body. So I hope you're all okay. It's getting really dark and it's hard to see, but give me a proper wave if you're struggling. And those of you that are taking the figure 4 variations, when you've had a good long breath on that side, if you want to come to that wide leg child's pose over the bolster, do. And then you might find that you can wriggle out into the hip joints a little bit there, so bring the bolster in towards the pubic bone. Lay over it and then just have a really good wriggle out and see if you can take the knees a bit wide, and of course blankets behind the knees if you need that little bit of space there. And those of you still in the supported pigeon, starting to find that deeper connection on the exhale into the pelvic floor. And that expansion of the belly and the rib cage on the inhale. And also having the props under the belly here, really comforting. It's very early in our development, that feeling of comfort on the tummy. So when we're babies, often babies want to sleep curled up in a ball with their head turned to the side on their front. And it's one of those very comforting shapes, so just allow yourself to feel that bit of comfort there. And we'll start to just again take a deeper breath and an active exhale to start to come out of it. Gently pressing away with the hands. So when I say active exhale, I mean just bringing a little bit of support through the core to lift yourself away. And as you come out of it again, when you're ready to, you're just going to press away with that left leg, really squeezing up on the kneecap, pressing into the ball of the left foot and drawing the heel away. And you can have a little sort of rock forwards and back there, stretching out the top of the calf muscle there, behind the knee. Nice if you've been doing a lot of pacing and walking as well. Great. And then just come back to seated for a moment. Good. So to draw everything back to the centre and just re-stabilise the hips, we'll take a supported bridge here. So you probably not, well you might want the bolster actually, but probably some books or blocks. If you've got a yoga block, you'll only need one. And most of you will know where you're going with this, I think. So you'll come to laying down. Just make sure that you have your heels in line with the hips. So hips, knees, feet in line. Spread the feet, feel really grounded underneath the feet. And then you can take your block on whichever facet works for you. So even maybe the low one might be enough today, maybe the longer edge, or maybe the high one. And another nice one to use is your bolster. And you can just pop that in the middle. If your bolster's a bit saggy, just make sure that you feel the hips are level there and you're not off to one side. Okay. If you're using books and cushions, you can just make a nice tower. The only thing about that, if you have got books, you don't want to feel anything pressing into your vertebrae, obviously, in the lumbar spine there. So just make sure it is really just on the sacroiliac joint at the base of the spine. And that you don't feel any uncomfortable pressure. So if you're on a block as well, sometimes we do feel a bit of pressure, especially for women sometimes around time of the month. That joint can feel a bit tender or a bit unstable as the muscles relax a little around the pelvic floor. So just being aware of that and maybe not going as deep as you might after an active vinyasa class. Great. And as we start to move deeper into this session, if you want to start to cover the eyes in the postures, if you have an eye pillow with you, you can use that, or just a t-shirt or a blanket or something. And so here we're really, as I said before, stabilising again after the asymmetry of the last posture. So perhaps one side felt a little tighter than the other, or maybe you just felt more restless on one side than the other and keen to move out of the shape. So just noticing that, and as we come into this more equal place, just see if you can feel aware of both right and left at the same time. Feeling them equally grounded, or feeling the feet equally grounded. And again, just watching the breath, imagining drawing it up and down the spine here, from tail to crown. Perhaps feeling extra aware of that lightness in your abdomen here. The weight taken out the pelvic floor. Sometimes you can even feel that your tummy starts rumbling here. And coming back to this idea of rest and digest. So when we enter these deeply relaxing postures, the body can send its energy into the repair structures, so digestion being a key part of that. Starting to absorb what it needs to rejuvenate. And just noticing if your chin could lift ever so slightly away from the chest here, and just seeing if that creates a little sense of curve and space in the back of your neck. Just notice if you can soften your jaw, and coming back to that softness in the inner corners of the eyes and the brow, so that as the back of the head is resting on the ground here, you can really allow the neck to feel relaxed as the head is supported. 5 more breaths here. Last exhale, again feel a little tone in the pelvic floor again. Squeeze into the glutes, press the feet into the floor, and then as you breathe in, lift the hips away from your props. Move them carefully to the side, and then just roll down slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, bringing the hips to the mat. And then when you get to the bottom, just give the knees a gentle squeeze into the chest. And you can make some little froggy leg circles there, again just to bring a little fluidity and movement back. Quite a nice massage for the sacrum here as the tail rocks back and forward, pelvis rocking back and forward, and then you can change direction. And keeping the toes gently together can just help you feel that you move both hips evenly. And again, if one feels a little uneven, just noticing. Give the knees a little squeeze and just draw the forehead into the knees as you breathe in. And then breathe out, lower the body down. And then just bring the soles of the feet to the mat and gently roll to your right. And then breathing in, pressing into the hands, coming up to sit. So we extended and lengthened through the psoas a little bit there, so that main flexor of the trunk to the lower limbs. So the next shape we're going to make, we're going to work a little more into that lower end of that muscle, stretching out around the groins. It's not perhaps for everyone, so again I'm going to give you options here. We're going to take a reclined hero's pose, so probably going to want the same setup as we started with a good old wedge of stuff on a ski slope shape. And depending on your knees, we're going to modify this. So this is the first shape I'm going to show you. Feet will tuck just near your cushion, and you're going to lay back over the bolster. So once you get here, if you feel any pressure in your knees, just don't feel that you have to take the shape. And again, you can always pop a bolster under your, a block or an extra cushion under your head just to take any strain out of your neck here. For most of us, I think this is going to be okay. You can go lower if you want to as well, and the bolster will support your lower back. If that's just not working for your knees, we're going to take a couple of blocks, perhaps a bolster even lengthways. If you have one, you can sit on it this way, and just allow the knees to hug either side of the bolster. Again, here that might not be enough. You can pop a block on top of your bolster as well, or just sit on a block or two on the ground. It's a good way to open the feet for a few breaths as well, so if you want to, and again, this is definitely a Marmite shape for the feet, you can tuck the toes under and get a bit of a foot stretch. So if you're taking this seated variation, you could sit for 5 to 10 breaths with the toes tucked, as much as you can bear without it starting to become stressful. We don't want that this evening. And then you can release your feet. And if you're in the upright version, we're going to have the palms face up. So that little kind of martial art gesture of meditation rather than a yoga one. And the idea being here, wherever you are actually, whether you're reclined or not, that you have the palms up, and we come back to that idea of the exhale being a way to receive all that lovely music and buzz and unique symphony of your body, your connection of body to universe. So and if you become really uncomfortable in this one, just come to laying down and take constructive rest with the feet on the ground and the legs propped. Okay, so if you need to move out of it, come to constructive rest. Is everyone okay? Yeah, good. So if you're kneeling, just notice if you can allow the palms to face up. And again, from this kneeling position, if after a few breaths you'd like to, you can walk the hands back and have a short lean here. But again, we really want this to be nice and gentle and feel that it's an easy stretch, no strain. And you might move between the two for say 3 breaths upright and 3 breaths back, but just being really conscious of your breath there. For those of you that are reclined, just start to visualise the base of the rib cage. There's this big muscle, the psoas. Imagine that snaking back down through the pelvis and attaching to the top of your thigh. And just notice if you can soften and relax that. Again, that psoas muscle can become really tight, and I think when we entered into this new way of living, maybe lots of us got new aches and pains and niggles and bits of tightness. So Lucy, we're just taking a reclined hero's pose here. So if you guys come into it now, and then you can stay in it a bit longer when the others come out. So we're kneeling. And other guys, if you need to come out of it, start to do that now. You and Lucy, don't stress. So it's like a kneeling shape, and you're going to lay back. It doesn't feel good. You're going to do it upright with a block and just sit bones. Sit and breathe, and you can start to lean the weight back for a few breaths there, and then come up. But just a gentle hip flex release, yeah. So those of you that have been in that shape for a while, when you come out of it again, do it on an exhale, and we'll spend a bit of time just decompressing your knees. So you can come here, give it a good pedal out. And actually you might want to take a brief down dog here just to really stretch out the knees. Again, keep it really soft, don't worry about legs being straight. There's Lucy and Hugh dropping out there, don't worry, because it's recorded, so you can try again tomorrow. And then come back through to child's pose and just gently make your way to sit. So you guys that have just come into it, just stay there for another 5 breaths, don't rush. And when you come to sit again, you can lean back and just have a little roll out of the legs again. So just moving the hips a little, and then you might want to sit and give the knees a little massage out and the feet a little roll. So just bring a little bit of movement back in there. A frog in my throat now. Great. So the next pose we're going to take is supported child's. If your knees are feeling like they've really had enough, let me know. Is everyone okay to come to supported child? So it's going to be like this, with the bolster, cushions, books, and we're just going to hug the bolster, and we'll just stay for a little less time here, just to give the knees a break. Yeah. But the main thing is here, again, to feel that you're able to completely soften the belly on the bolster here. So I want to feel the breath moving against the bolster, the rib cage expanding. If the knees are feeling uncomfortable, you could prop blankets behind the knees for a bit. And if it really isn't doing your knees any favours, come to laying down. And you can take a little Apanasana sequence here. So a hug of one knee at a time, and an extension of the leg, and a roll out through the joints. So for some of you, Irene, I'm talking to you, if your knees are really struggling, do this little Apanasana sequence. But that applies to any of you. If you want to do this instead, you can take that nice release on your back, and you're still getting that hug of the knee. Those of you that are happy coming into that child's pose, just soften. Great. And you can close the eyes here if you wish. The trick is not to go to sleep. But allow yourself to get in that nice drifty place where you're really, again, in that very early state of awareness of just breath and feeling really safe here. And again, just noticing if you can soften the jaw. Really soften the shoulders and the tops of the shoulders here, the sides of the neck. Again, feeling the warmth on the exhale, slightly cooler on the inhale. So yeah, if you are struggling with this shape, just coming to your back and having a hug of the knees there and a stretch out of the legs. I'm just going to turn your head to face the other way. And again, noticing as you make that slight change, if you can soften the jaw again, the cheeks. Notice where the tongue is resting in your mouth, if the teeth can relax a little away from one another. Just scanning for any last trace of tension around the tops of the shoulders, sides of the neck, fingertips. Notice if you can let go and soften completely through the arms all the way down to your hands, from those first set of knuckles to the middle set of knuckles, until you feel the very tips of the fingers just melting down. And at the same time, just feeling that soft buzz of life in every single cell as you breathe in and out. Taking 3 more full breaths here, really feeling the back of the body, inhaling and expanding. And then exhaling, perhaps feeling the belly drawing away from the bolster, just subtly. Let's take 2 more like that, breathing in and breathing out. And then use this next exhale to bring yourself up, right? Again, just padding the hands back. Great. And so, again, to balance that out, we'll stretch out the legs a little and come to Viparita Karani, so legs up the wall. If you have space, you can take a few leg variations here. So again, the best way to come into it is get really tight to the wall, spin yourself up, or bring a block or a bolster with you. So if you want to, you can pop the bolster or a block or a book with a cushion on it under your back, under the sacrum again, and just get that little bit more of an inverted shape. If you'd rather keep the hips on the ground, that's also fine. And if you have space, you can move between a straddle shape and a butterfly shape, and then back to vertical. If you haven't got the space, don't worry. You can even just take a little mini butterfly, or just stay with the legs up. Okay? So, taking any hip support with you, and taking a bit of time. The other thing you might want actually is a blanket just to cover yourself if you feel a bit chilly, or maybe socks for your feet if you feel that the temperature's dropped a little bit where you are. And again, if you want to cover the eyes, do. So as we stay in this shape, you'll feel the limbs becoming lighter, perhaps even a little fizzy as the blood drains. And just know that that's okay, especially if this is a less familiar feeling for you. And elevating the legs in this way, again, really reducing the pressure on the heart to pump back blood from the lower limbs. So reducing the heart rate, encouraging that drainage. And also reducing that pressure again in the lower abdomen, the pelvic floor. And as we flip our perspective, literally like this, I love the idea of sending the feet up to the sky, where our head normally is, and the head down to the ground, so any thoughts can just really, literally become grounded. Just let everything settle down there. Let them feel held and released into the ground for a while. And then as we elevate the lower spine a little, it's almost another nice way of thinking that we hold all those ideas just down there somewhere. They haven't quite got up to the brain yet. Another teacher friend of mine once gave me this nice idea of things waiting. They haven't quite got to the synapses and they're just there waiting travel up. I mean, you know, it's a visualization obviously, but it's nice to think that we can put things on hold in a queue. They'll still be there. Come back to them later, take some time. And if the things that perhaps you don't really want to come back to, giving yourself a break. And knowing that those two awareness, or opposing poles of awareness, can exist at the same time. And you can just come back to watching your breath and finding the peaceful centre line between them. And So if you would like to take the legs wide or into a butterfly shape if you haven't already done so, perhaps take that. Again, just very softly, feeling space across the front of the hips and on the inner leg muscles there as you do so. Allowing the wall or whichever surface you're leaning on to support you. And then start to bring the legs back up to vertical. Just gradually, and again, don't rush if you're not quite ready to. And then gradually just bring the legs in towards the chest. So again, without hurry. And if you need to move your prop for that to feel comfortable, go ahead. And then again, very gradually, rolling to right side. Or whichever side is practical for you if you have stuff around. And then from here, just make your way straight to laying down and coming to Shavasana. So just laying out completely evenly, arms and legs falling away from the sides. So you're probably going to want your blanket here, just so you feel comfortable. If you don't have a blanket, you can even just put a cushion on your belly or just something across the middle of the body, across the core to keep you warm. And welcome to turn out lights, cover eyes, whatever would help you to have that proper resting pose. And we'll have 2 minutes here. So here again, just scan through the body for any residual tension. And when I say 2 minutes, it will be 2 minutes from when I stop talking, so that you have complete silence for a moment. Yeah, so just scanning from the toes, up the legs, releasing any tension, through the hips, the torso, just softening, light rise and fall of the breath. And then the shoulders, softening down the back, arms releasing out of the shoulders, and the backs of the hands softening. Again, if you need to bring hands to belly, or one hand to heart, one hand to belly, please do. And again, just that soft awareness of the neck curving away from the ground, the sides of the neck softening even more, the jaw releasing, cheeks soft, brow soft, inner corners of the eyes soft. And feeling the eyes are so heavy that even if you wanted to open them, you just couldn't. And then just quiet. starting to feel aware perhaps of sounds outside, perhaps some wind, noises in the house. Just start to deepen your breath a little. And then just gradually bring a small amount of movement to fingers, toes, wrists, ankles. Take a deeper breath in and a sigh. And just very gradually, as you're ready, bring yourself to sit. Or you can stay laying down if you need to, don't worry. And just give the shoulders a little shrug. Maybe ease the neck side to side. And just as we finish, I'm just going to leave you with wisdom of Yogi Amrit Desai, who says, everything worthwhile for the soul is gained through silence. When you verbalise, you've moved into your head. And we'll leave it there. Namaste, all of you.